Welcome back to Escapement and Watch. I'm your host, Falling Titan. My rating on 2020, 0 out of 10. Would not recommend. Now, something I do recommend is Rado. Who is Rado? It got started in 1917 by three brothers, I believe. Shulip & Co. was the original name. 1950, the name Rado got created. Big thank you to Kavarjewelers for lending in this beautiful piece. If you want to buy it, email me, email in the description. I'll give you a discount code and you can have this amazing watch. Let's check it out. Here it is, the Captain Hook by Rado. Now in '83, they joined the Swatch Group, so they're part of that big group. And in 1986, they made their first ceramic watch. Now, Rado is known in the industry for using advanced materials, high-tech, new stuff, a lot of cool technologies. I don't know why, but they call their ceramic high-tech ceramic. I don't know what the mixture is or composite or formula, but apparently their ceramic is high-tech. So just know that Rado makes advanced material watches, scratch resistant. So that's their thing. Okay, now let's get into the K-shape. Right away you can see there is a slight curvature to the lugs downwards. Very nice. We have a little tiny crown. It's about 5 millimeters. And high polish throughout the watch. High polish on the sides of the case. High polish mirror finish on the top of the lugs. Gives me a vintage Omega Seamaster look. And I also get a Breitling Super Ocean vibe from the general case shape. And the bezel sticks out slightly from the edge. And the measurements are taken from the bezel. So the case is actually a bit smaller if you don't include the teeth and you just actually include the case shape itself. It is a beautiful, pleasing design, very clean, very simple, very elegant. I'm a fan of this case shape. Now let's check out the movement. The movement on this watch is C07.611. So it's based on the ETA 2824, a tried and true, proven movement that we all know and love, accurate, reliable, maybe can be considered in-house for Rado since they are part of the Swatch Group and ETA is owned by the Swatch Group. Now the movement is slowed down to 21.6 vibrations per hour, 3 Hertz, so it's a low beat to get 80 hours of power reserve. 25 joules hack hand wind. Now we'll see how these ETAs handle that lower beat. It is a little bit tougher to become accurate when you slow down the rate, believe it or not. You would think the slower you move, the easier it is to be accurate, but the faster, the easier. Let's check the measurements. Rado says this is 42 millimeter, but I got 41.5. That's including those teeth that stick out on that coin edge bezel. When I measured just the case itself, I didn't, like from underneath, I got 40.5 instead of the 41.5. So a 1 millimeter difference in bezel teeth. So I didn't even hit the 42 no matter where I looked, and I tried everywhere. Now the thickness is 12.2. That's what I got, including that Sapphire. Now that's an amazing thin size for 42 millimeter watch. And the most important lug to lug, 48.3, gonna wear amazing on most wrists. I love the sizing of this watch. Some people say it wears small than the 42 would suggest, which makes sense because I measured 40.5 on the case and 41.5. But I feel like it wears like a 42. When I put it on, I felt like I'm wearing like an SKX, just a bit thin, a thin SKX. So to me, it wears true to size. All right, now let's check out the bracelet. The bracelet is a beads of rice, the second beads of rice on the channel. The first one was at Axios. And look at that articulation. It's unbelievable fluidity. So no matter what wrist size you have, or angles, flat wrist, curved wrist, oval, it's gonna contour and fit you perfectly. The beads of rice I find ultra comfortable. I was never a fan of them until I've had one and tried one, and they're excellent. So I'm a beads of rice fan now. I checked, these are not screws, and I don't think they're pins and collars because I don't think you can fit a collar in there. So definitely gonna be push pins or split pins, whatever you want to call them. So easy to size, and there you go at the bottom there, you see the word Rado on the clasp, and look how thin that is. It's amazing. That's one of the thinnest clasps I ever seen. And it's all milled, all solid, solid end links, solid links. Beautiful bracelet. The bracelet is a highlight. Now let's look at that case back. We have 3 seahorses. Now the original had 2, and I believe they were facing each other, or the kissing seahorses. I don't know if they were kissing, but it looks like it. So this one has 3, maybe it's an evolution, the next gen, makes sense, adding a seahorse. Very cool. Now the original, I've seen the original at 35.5 millimeter. It never sold well. It only sold for about 6 years, from 1962 to 68, I believe. And they sold about 8,000 units, roughly. Wasn't a big hit for Rado. They were known more for dress watches, and the dive watch scene was becoming big in the 60s, so they made one just to compete and be involved. Of course, you always want to be in the biggest trends so you can cash in. So some have said the original was 37 mil, and then I've seen an original at 35.5. So there was a couple different variations, and I have a picture of an original here from 1962, I believe. And what's interesting is the hour hand was a stick hand, and the minute hand had the long arrow broad tip, which now, as we see in the modern one, it is opposite. But also there are some vintage ones that were opposite as well, true to this reissue. So there is a couple different ones out there. Information is hard to find on these Rados, because they weren't that popular. But it's a beautiful watch, and it should be popular. It's underrated, I feel, and you guys should pay attention to Rado. Very nice brand, very good quality. Let's check out the bezel and the bezel insert. So it is their high-tech ceramic. It has that notchy feel, but not too ratchety. So not bad. Not my favorite bezel feel, but not bad. And everything lines up perfectly. So excellent bezel action and that nice high-tech ceramic. Of course, going to be scratch resistant. Now let's check out that sapphire. It is beautiful. It's got anti-reflective coating, and it has a beautiful dome to it, and a little bit of a distortion on the edges. There it is. Very nice. Look at that high polish side too. Beautiful. This watch is a pretty diver. Now the dial and hands, sunburst blue. Really cool feature on the dial is their logo, the anchor. It moves. See how it's facing the left? Watch this. Now it is facing the other side. It's cool. So it moves around. I thought it was broken when I got the watch. I was like, what's wrong with this? Did the logo move? Am I seeing things? Am I delusional? What's going on? So I didn't know that that feature was a part of Rado for the longest time. I think 50s? Yeah, so when they started. At least 60s when this watch came out, because this watch has that feature, the original 1962. So very cool feature of Rado's. It's kind of fun to see it move around sometimes. You gotta move it sometimes, but there, yeah. Very cool. So yes, the logo does move. A cool, fun Easter egg. I like it. And the hands, I love that broad arrow hour hand. It's so thick and big. Legibility, excellent. Now that chapter ring being like mirror high polished brushed steel, sometimes it's hard to see the notches. Maybe I prefer if they made it blue and white, a bright white in indices. I mean, sorry, hash marks. That would be, I think, a bit better and match the bezel insert. Bezel insert legibility is good too. The dial is printed on indices. And it's very clean. It just says Captain Cook, Swiss made, and Rado. I love it. Not a lot of detail, not the water resistance, which is, by the way, 200 meters. No chronometer. Well, it's not one anyways, but, you know, no extra details. Just Rado, Captain. Oh, I almost said Captain Hook. Rado, Captain Cook, Swiss made. Very simple, very nice. So this watch, beautifully executed. Simplicity, less is more. Except for the price. More is more with the price. 2,800 Canadian, around 2150 USD. I'm sure you can get discounts at ADs. I don't know what they range for. I typically do not buy Rados. This is my first experience with this brand. So let me know down in the comments. Are you guys a fan of Rado? Have you bought Rado before? What does your typical discount look like? 5%, 10%? Let me know down in the comments. Now, the name Captain James Cook, that's what they named it after, which is weird. This is a Swiss brand, and Captain James Cook was a British 18th century explorer. So this is kind of what micro brands did or do now. When they don't have history, they take an island or a mountain, or like, let's say the Axios I just reviewed. They named it after a flagship, the Axios flagship from history, which is not their history. It's not their country. Because I remember one of my commenters said, oh, they're not British. They can't. I find it disrespectful. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I don't know how you guys feel about that. But this watch kind of did the same thing, I guess, because it's a Swiss brand, right? And it took an English explorer's name, inspiration. So I don't know, maybe we should accept when micro brands do that, because you know what? Maybe even though Rado started in 1917, maybe they were kind of a micro in 1950 when they actually started selling with the name Rado, because they were kind of new. I know they weren't new. They have decades of experience, but name-wise they were new. Anyways, rant over, wrist shot check. This is the 42 and my 6.5-inch wrist. I think it wears great. The 48 lug to lug, not overhanging. Has a nice curve, so it's fitting my wrist good. Beads of rice, ultra comfortable. This watch is amazing. Guys, this watch, it looks better. Like I'm reaching my head over the camera and it looks way better in person than in camera. Just unbelievable because it looks great on camera. Very nice blue. I love that sunburst blue. Man, 2020 coming out with some great blue watches. Maybe I should battle these two, eh? Both 42mm, both dive watches, both reissues or reimaginations. Like this video, if we get, I don't know, what's a good number? I mean, I never get it right. 100 likes, we'll do a battle between the new Seiko Willard in blue and the blue Rado 42mm dive watch. Swiss versus Japanese. You want to do it? All right, now let's check out the weight. So this watch feels light to me, which I'm a fan of. Some people might not like that. They might feel like it's cheap, but it's not. Don't confuse weight with quality. I know that's an 300? 369. Okay, it was not zeroed. Wow, I'm like, okay, I'm completely wrong. Okay, 136. Okay, there we go. Makes sense. 136, ultra lightweight on wrist. Gonna be comfortable for all day wear, especially when you add that beautiful beads of rice. Unbelievable bracelet. Like, this watch is comfortable. So once you get used to a lightweight watch, like a titanium watch, you're gonna you're gonna want lightweight always. Then when you put like a heavy Submariner on, you're gonna be like, what is this on my wrist bugging me all day? But I guess if you're used to heavy, it can work both ways. All right, let's check this one out on the time grapher. Let's see how the Swiss handle that lower beat. Okay, we're gonna go to 50 lift angle for the ETA 2824, and we're gonna mute it. Ooh, doing amazing. -3 and 0.2 beat error, 296 amplitude. Excellent numbers so far. And there you can see the 21.6 VPH. Very unusual for the Swiss made movements, but looking good. A little bit of snowflakes, so that's a little bit concerning. Rarely see that on a Swiss movement, especially the ETA movements that are in-house with the ETA swatch group. Those movements are usually like much better than third-party ETAs. Like the Longines ETAs, they're so smooth to wind. This has a typical ETA winding issue where you feel like you're breaking it by winding it. And if you do wind it too quickly, like you would wind a Seiko, let's say, you're basically going to strip the gears and ruin the watch, ruin the reverser gears. It's happened before, and they're kind of known for that. So this one you got to wind it nice and slow, and it's kind of difficult to wind with that small crown, 5mm crown. A little bit tough to grip as well. Not a fan of the crown, but just wind it nice and slow. You should be good. Okay, we gave it a good amount of time while I was rambling. -4, -4, -3, -3. A little bit of snowflakes everywhere. And the final number, -1. Let's go one more, -2. So excellent movement. Very well done. The only thing concerning is the snowflakes and a little bit of beat error. Other than that, it's probably well regulated. We're not going to check it in different positions. We are running long for this video. All right, there it is. As you can see, it looks stronger on the hands. Hour, minute, seconds. There is no loom on the ceramic insert, so you're not going to know where 12 is. Yep, none. And yeah, it's kind of not bad. I wouldn't say, let's see. Bring my Seiko. Yeah. Wow, so the Rado has been under the lights longer than the Seiko, and it is definitely a lot weaker. Yep. So Swiss Super Luminova, my favorite ice cream flavor. Not bad loom, pretty good, but not as good as Seiko's, of course. Now, let's do the final thoughts. All right, here it is in half lighting. Look at that beautiful sunburst blue. Very nice. This dial is a stunner. Now, what do I think of the Rado? I love the case shape. I love the design, the vintage feel. I love that it does have history. Very cool. I'm a fan. I'm won over by this spending time with it this week. I kept it for about a week, and yeah, I'm a fan of it. I wouldn't mind picking one up. Definitely a cool watch you can be proud of to wear. Under the radar, a little bit unknown, much better than your typical homages out there. It's original, and I love that. I hope Rado expands on the Captain Cook line and makes a 40 mil. That would be nice. I'm not a fan of the 37, a bit too small for my wrist. And yeah, this 42, a bit big. Like, I'm just being too picky. But yeah, I would love a 40 millimeter. That would make me happy. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.